Generosity is often seen as one of the most beautiful and selfless qualities a person can possess. Society praises those who give without expectation, those who help others without asking for anything in return. It's considered virtuous, noble, and something to strive for in a world that can often seem self-centered and cynical. We are taught from a young age that to be generous is to be good, and that those who give are the ones who are truly living the right way. But what happens when the very generosity that you extend to others becomes the thing that harms you? What happens when that beautiful trait, your giving nature, becomes a weapon in the hands of those who know how to exploit it? What happens when your kindness stops being a virtue and starts becoming a source of weakness? You see, we often don't think of our generosity as something that can be weaponized, but the harsh truth is that it can be. Your willingness to help, your desire to make others feel supported, your emotional labor, and even your financial or physical sacrifices can all be turned against you, not out of malice, but from a place of entitlement and manipulation. This is not to say you should stop being generous. Generosity is a beautiful thing. But we need to understand when that generosity is being abused and learn how to protect ourselves from those who will take advantage of it. Generosity starts innocently enough, doesn't it? We help others because it feels good. We want to make a positive impact in someone's life. Whether it's offering emotional support, sharing resources, or giving our time, we genuinely believe that we are making a difference. And we are. We see generosity as a way to connect with others, to show them that they matter, to lift them up when they are struggling. And in the early stages, our acts of kindness often come back to us tenfold. The appreciation we receive feels like validation. It confirms that what we're doing is right, that our kindness is being valued, and that we are making a difference. But then, something changes. You don't see it right away. It's subtle. It starts with small requests. One favor here, another there. You give without hesitation because that's what you do. But soon, the requests grow more frequent, more demanding. And when you try to say no, when you try to set boundaries, you feel a pang of guilt. You feel as though you're failing the person you're helping, or that you're letting them down. So, you give and give, until one day you realize that you've given so much that there's nothing left for you. And yet they're still asking, they're still taking. At first, giving feels good. You're happy to help. You're glad that your time and energy are being spent on something meaningful. But as time passes, it starts to feel less like a choice and more like an obligation. You begin to notice that the people you've been helping aren't showing the same level of appreciation. They don't thank you as much anymore. Their requests become bigger, more frequent, more demanding. And you, who once believed in the purity of giving, start to feel drained, frustrated, and angry. Why is it that your generosity never seems to be enough? Why does it always feel like no matter how much you give, it's never enough to satisfy the person you're helping? And when you can't give, when you start to set boundaries or express your own needs. They don't see it as a fair request. They see it as selfishness. They make you feel guilty for wanting to take care of yourself, for wanting to preserve your energy and resources. They know how to manipulate your generosity. They know how to make you feel bad for saying no. And because of that manipulation, you keep giving, even when it's harming you. This is where things get dark. What was once a source of pride, a virtue you held dear, has become a weapon. A weapon in the hands of those who are skilled at taking advantage of others' kindness. They don't see your generosity as something to be appreciated or respected. They see it as a tool to get what they want. They use your kindness as a way to control you, to exploit your vulnerability. And they do it in ways that you don't even fully realize until it's too late. Let's break it down. When you constantly give without boundaries, you are allowing others to define your worth through what you provide for them. Your value becomes tied to your ability to help, to fix problems, to be the one others can rely on. You no longer become a person. They begin to see you as a source of supply. Your time, your energy, your resources are used to fill their needs, while your own needs are ignored, trampled, or dismissed. This creates an imbalance, a toxic dynamic where your generosity becomes a tool for manipulation. You may not even realize that you're being exploited, because the person asking for help might seem to appreciate it in the moment, but they never stop asking, never stop taking, and never offer anything in return. The emotional and psychological toll of giving without limits is often more subtle and insidious than physical exhaustion. You start out with the purest intentions, wanting to help, to make a difference, and to bring positivity into the lives of others. But over time, the emotional labor of constantly giving can weigh you down in ways you may not initially recognize. You may feel overwhelmed and emotionally drained, yet somehow still find yourself saying yes when you should be saying no. You push through the fatigue because there's a nagging feeling inside, telling you that it's your responsibility to keep giving. The deeper, quieter cost of this pattern is more concerning. A part of you begins to believe that your worth is linked directly to what you can offer. You may start to lose sight of who you are as an individual, outside of your role as a giver. Your identity becomes entangled with your ability to help others. The more you give, the more you lose yourself in the process. You may find that you're no longer aware of where their needs end and yours begin. This emotional depletion creeps in silently, and you may only recognize it when the guilt kicks in. You feel selfish for taking a step back or saying no, but in reality, you've been running on empty for too long. The resentment creeps in gradually too. Resentment toward the people you're helping. Resentment that they are taking so much, but at the same time, a sense of guilt for resenting them. You feel trapped. The selflessness that once felt like a strength has now become a trap you can't seem to escape. And as a result, you find yourself unable to set boundaries. It feels wrong to say no, as though you're failing in your mission to help others. But the truth is, without setting those boundaries, you're giving up your own peace, happiness, and well-being for the sake of others. The realization comes with a sting. It's the moment when you can no longer ignore the truth that's been quietly building inside you. It's painful and often humbling when you step back and finally see what's been happening. You've been used. You've been manipulated. Your kindness and generosity, the things you prided yourself on, have been taken for granted. Those who you've helped, the ones you believed you were doing good for, have never truly appreciated the sacrifices you've made. Instead, they've used your generosity as a tool for their own gain, without any consideration of the toll it's taking on you. What makes this even more painful is the realization that they may never see or acknowledge what they've done. They may never understand the emotional and psychological damage their demands have caused you. The emotional depletion they've created may never be recognized. Worse, they may even accuse you of being selfish when you're finally too tired to give anymore, when you've reached your limit and can no longer continue to support them. They may even go so far as to blame you for not giving more, for not being there when they needed you. This is often the part that makes the realization even harder to accept. The fact that those you helped may never take accountability for their actions, leaving you feeling like you're in the wrong for wanting to take care of yourself. This is when the real work begins. The moment of clarity arrives with pain, but also with strength. It's the moment you realize that you can no longer afford to give at the cost of your own well-being. It's time to take back control. It's time to set boundaries. And the first and hardest part of this process is recognizing that setting boundaries is not selfish. It's essential for your emotional and mental health. For far too long, you may have believed that saying no was wrong, that if you didn't give all of yourself, you were somehow failing. But this is not the case. It is not selfish to preserve your energy. It is not selfish to protect your time. Saying no is a necessary act of self-care. Learning to say no without feeling guilty is a skill you must develop. It's about recognizing that your generosity is a gift, not an obligation, and that you have the right to decide how, when, and to whom you give that gift. At first, setting boundaries will feel uncomfortable. You might feel a deep sense of guilt, even shame, for denying people who have come to expect so much from you. But remember that you are not a machine, and you are not here to endlessly serve others without regard for your own needs. By setting these boundaries, you are not cutting yourself off from the world, but instead, you are creating a healthy space in which you can continue to give, not from a place of depletion, but from a place of strength. Once you have made the crucial decision to set boundaries, you embark on a new chapter, the path to healing. However, this road is not an immediate one, nor is it a smooth and simple journey. Healing from the emotional, psychological, and even physical exhaustion caused by overgiving takes time and patience. For far too long, you may have identified yourself by your generosity, by the role you played in other people's lives. Perhaps you believed that your worth was determined by how much you could give, how much you could sacrifice for others. But once you begin to step back and examine your situation, you start to realize that you are not defined by how much you can do for others. In this phase, you will have to rediscover who you truly are outside of the giving role you've played. Who are you when you're not the one always looking after others, solving their problems, or meeting their needs? It's a profound and sometimes unsettling question, but the answers will lead you back to yourself. You may need to relearn how to be kind and generous, but this time, it will come with a deeper understanding of your limits, your needs, and the importance of protecting your well-being. Being kind is beautiful, but you must never forget that kindness starts with yourself. A significant realization in this journey is that you do not need to stop being generous altogether. Generosity is not inherently bad or damaging. It is a beautiful trait that reflects compassion and care for others. However, your generosity must come from a place of abundance, not from a place of depletion. The key here is selectivity. Learning to give only when you are capable of giving, without sacrificing your own well-being. You must learn to give from strength, when you feel whole and energized, not from exhaustion, where every act of kindness feels like a drain on your spirit. In a world that often encourages self-sacrifice, it can be hard to accept that you have the right to say no, especially to those who have grown accustomed to you always saying yes. But the truth is that when you give from an empty cup, your generosity loses its essence. Your kindness becomes transactional, and its impact fades. True generosity comes from a place where your own needs are respected and valued, where your self-care is prioritized, and where your emotional, mental, and physical health is not compromised for the sake of others. You must learn that it is okay to care for yourself first. As you begin to heal and learn to set better boundaries, something incredible happens. Your generosity becomes more meaningful and powerful. When you are no longer giving out of obligation or depletion, the quality of your kindness deepens. You will notice that your generosity has a far greater impact on others when it comes from a place of emotional health and self-respect. When your kindness is offered freely, without hidden resentment or fear of depletion, it touches others in a way that is more authentic and more fulfilling for you as well. This process also allows you to surround yourself with people who truly value and appreciate you. Instead of people who only see you for what you can do for them, you will attract individuals who recognize you as a whole person, someone who has their own needs, desires, and boundaries. These people will respect your limits and appreciate your gifts without taking them for granted. The relationships you build will be healthier, more meaningful, and mutually respectful. As you continue to set boundaries and protect your energy, you will find that the right people will enter your life. Those who are not only receptive to your generosity, but who also offer you support and appreciation in return. You will learn that generosity should always be reciprocal, meaning that you deserve to be surrounded by people who give as much as you do, whether in emotional support, time, or care. A vital lesson in this process is learning to balance helping others and taking care of yourself. Many people especially those who are naturally kind and giving, tend to put the needs of others before their own, sometimes to their own detriment. But the truth is that there is no benefit in constantly giving without taking care of yourself. Helping others should never feel like a burden or an obligation. It should be a conscious choice made from a place of emotional well-being. You have every right to prioritize your peace and health without feeling guilty for doing so. Through setting boundaries, you will begin to realize that true generosity comes from a place of wisdom and care. You will understand that it's not selfish to take time for yourself, to say no when you're stretched too thin, or to ask for the same respect and care from others that you give them. When you learn to protect your energy and prioritize your own well-being, you will give more freely, more authentically, and your generosity will have a deeper, lasting impact on those you help. At the end of this journey, you will have reclaimed your power. Your generosity will no longer be a weapon used against you. Your kindness will be a gift you offer when you are ready, not when you are drained. You will have learned to set clear, firm boundaries, to protect your energy, and to never forget that true generosity comes from a place of self-respect. You will know that your kindness is a gift, not a commodity to be exploited. You have the right to decide how much of yourself you give and to whom. And it's crucial to understand that your needs and well-being matter just as much as anyone else's. Take back your power. Preserve your peace. Learn to protect your heart. And never forget that you are deserving of all the love and kindness you give to others, and even more. The world needs your generosity, but the world also needs you to be whole, healthy, and strong. Your kindness should flow from a place of abundance and self-love, not from a place of depletion or sacrifice. You are worthy of the same care and respect that you offer others. And as you continue your journey forward, you will give from a place of wisdom, strength, and true emotional health.